but you do have disagreements with the show/shows. You say just when it teaches men to hate women and the controversy. Yeah. So those are two separate statements. We'll get into the first one first. When you say the and the controversy, what do you mean?
And the controversy, I just think sometimes this podcast can put women against men, and I don't think that's the answer.
Oh boy.
It's just the way they pronounce it. I do know that there is a plural and singular version.
Why do they do that, Keeko?
It's just the way I pronounce it. I swear to God that I do know what you're saying. I even listen back, and it does sound like I'm saying the opposite of what I'm saying, but my pronunciation isn't clear with my accent on the words.
Go ahead.
But I do see valid points on both sides. I do see a lot of times what the men are saying, but I just don't think the answer is to make them hate all women. Same thing when the women get on here and say like, oh, F all men and this and that. Like, I think both sides are wrong, and sometimes I just don't appreciate the divide it causes between the sexes. If I'm being honest, I think what Brian does is the least of it. I think the red pill, blue pill, black pill, whatever community in a whole, F and F, whatever, is a bigger issue.
I think they're great.
I don't appreciate the way that they speak to women sometimes. I understand getting your point across.
We're on the podcast, so we're not going to talk about.
You asked me.
No, but you're bringing up another podcast. I'm not them, so.
I was saying how I appreciate that you are a little bit better in how you conduct yourself.
I guess there's a compliment in there.
Yes, thank you. Trust me, I would never bring them up in high regards. I was saying that when you were talking about what you were saying, how I don't like it, the controversy. I was saying how I do appreciate that you guys go about it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But I just think that we should all come together and not hate each other. That's it.
Okay.
So, do you think this is probably the most humorous thing about doing as much of this as I have on these types of panels?
Thank you.
Is recognizing that on the one side of women's mouths, they talk about equality, egalitarianism, how much they think that men and women are interchangeable widgets, until you talk to them like a man. And then suddenly, they're a fucking woman. Suddenly, they're fragile. Suddenly, you can't talk to me like that. Suddenly, I'm on a different playing field than you. Suddenly, but wait, you're a man, right? And what I've always really tried to drive home more than anything else is that aspect. Is that there's this sense of privilege which actually does exist with women. And the second that you confront them with logic, or you confront them with reason or facts, or you're even moderately aggressive, just like you would be with a man. You wouldn't be any different if you were talking to a man.
I would.
Suddenly, they instantly take affront, clutch their pearls. They can't believe it. They tone police, the whole 9 yards. And so for me, it's like, we can't have your cake and eat it too, right? It's either you're egalitarian, interchangeable widgets with men,
champagne,
or you're not.
And I get that point, but actually, let me let them go for it.
Okay, Noah.
Noah donated $200.
W's in the chat for Noah.
Jokes on Keeko. I've hated women long before this podcast.
And Noah, unless you're a gay man, that's very sad. I've never hated men like that. I really hope that you can get out of that and find the right woman for you.
Oh, come on, that was a joke.
He's joking.
But I hope he finds the right one for him and has a great life and a great family with the woman of his life.
Is there even a problem with hating the way that women act in modernity? Is that even problematic?
It's all about.
Does that mean you hate women, or does that mean that you hate how people act? For instance,
well, here's the thing. I would never say I hate men. I would never go around saying I just hate men.
Yeah, but that's not what I asked. What I asked is not whether or not it's problematic to say I hate women. I asked if it's problematic to say that you hate how modern women act.
Yeah, I think it's problematic because I do understand, because you're asking me directly.
Yeah.
And I don't go around saying I hate how the modern man acts.
Don't you?
I don't.
Don't you?
If you actually look at all my episodes,
didn't you just kind of give this indictment? You said there's this greater community of red pill, black pill. What you're talking about is
I hate how the younger generation acts.
You're talking about the manosphere. Right? What you're really talking about is the manosphere.
What I should have clarified, I was going to, but someone started talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
I also hate how the women me included, I've done the same thing going on here, how we conduct ourselves. And it kind of, I'm not saying it's their fault. We can obviously do whatever we want once we're up here, but it gives the platform for these things to happen. So I'm not saying that it's their fault, but I also hate how women get up on here on these podcasts and make us look. So I'm not saying it's all on the men. It's a whole thing how we entertain the conversation.
What do I make us look?
Well, we gotta let Brian move it. Hang on.
Does that make sense, though?
Holy shit, libertarian.
Donated
Yo, W's in the chat for
$500.
libertarian.
Pop champagne.
Holy
If those
God.
of us in the Discord are going to
These guys are
have
crazy,
every
man.
time a guest says woman when they mean
I don't know if I
women,
should.
you on the
Maybe
show
the
have to
50%
Hold on for a
off.
second.
I'm
Hold on for a second.
sorry. I'm sorry.